writers, let's see what we're doing for this week. Writers write with many details, and you know how to do this already. I want to show you a different way to add details. You ready? One way we can also add details is by adding comparisons. And we do this to create a movie in the reader's mind. So a comparison is when you compare two things. So you can say that the shark's teeth is as sharp as a knife. That's a comparison. You're comparing the shark's teeth to a knife. Or you can say the sunflower was as bright as the sun, to show that it was a bright yellow. All right, so let's see how we can add comparisons to our stories. All right, so I picked my favorite idea was I am an expert on maps, and I put 3 different things I know about maps. What is a map? What we can use maps for, and another thing, we can use maps to see where our ancestors live. We can use it for countries, oceans, and mountains. And those become my table of contents. So chapter 1, what is a map, is on page 1. Chapter 2, how can we use maps? Chapter 3, what do maps tell us? 3 different chapters. All right, let's see how I can use a comparison to make my story stronger. Chapter 1, what is a map? Hi, have you ever used a map before? It is a little tricky to use all the map parts. See the diagram above to learn about them. But first, let me tell you what a map is. A map is a visual representation of a place. Maps can help us learn more about the world. Maps are like books. So there is my comparison. Maps are like books. Are maps really like books? No, but I'm comparing 2 things to show us that both maps and books can teach us about the world, right? And if you look at the diagram, what are the map elements? So a map usually has a title, it usually has a legend, which explains the symbols on the map, and it has a scale. It measures the distance. All right, chapter 2. How can we use maps? We can use maps to locate countries, oceans, lakes, rivers, and mountains. A country is a nation with its own government and territory. For example, the United States is a country. Mexico is a country. Guatemala is also a country. But Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent. It has many countries. Africa is as large as the sun. So I wanted to show that Africa is as big. It's really big. So I compared it to the sun because I know the sun is also very big. So that's my second comparison. For example, in some countries in Africa are like Egypt, Kenya, Libya, and we know 7 continents. There's 7 continents in the world. All right, chapter 3. What do maps tell us? Maps can tell us where our ancestors lived. It can show us how our families traveled to this neighborhood. You can ask the caregiver to show you on a map their longest trip they've done. Another thing maps can teach us is about water. Doug said, notice where all the rivers start and end up. So for example, I showed where my ancestors traveled from all the way to California. So from Guanajuato, Mexico, all the way to California. That's what maps can tell us. With a map, you learn that all the rivers start at the top of mountains and all the rivers end up at the ocean. One last thing I want to teach you about maps is that almost every map you encounter will be wrong. The measurements are wrong. For example, Mexico is usually shown smaller than Alaska, when in fact it's not. Mexico is in fact larger than Alaska, but usually it's shown differently. And Africa is the largest continent, and it's usually shown smaller than it really is. What do you think about maps now? The end. All right, so in summary, Writers write with many details, and you already are experts. You know how to add the five senses, but I wanted to teach you a different way. Writers also use comparisons when they compare two different things to create a movie in the reader's mind. So I can't wait to see how you do this. Thank you.